resistant. There was another study completed by Hockman and Arev. And what they were doing is comparing the partial reinforcement, full reinforcement, and which one was better at promoting habits. What they found was that it wasn't partial reinforcement that created the habit, but the amount of times they received the positive reward. So it's suggesting something a little different.
So essentially that's saying that it's still partial, like it's not consistent, but that it needs to go on for long enough that they learn to expect it to some degree. Like It feels reliable to them.
Which it adds on to Skinner's experiment. Basically, the more you try creating the habit or influencing the habit, the stronger the habit's going to be.
Okay.
And what they found, or actually, I'll start with this first. They used buttons. This experiment was performed on humans. And they used buttons that they were able to change the rewards. And they just had like a point system for selecting one of the buttons. And the participants didn't know what the point system was, right? So they set it up in two parts. The first part of the experiment, they had two groups, the partial and full reinforcement groups. One group always got high points on one button and a limited number of points on the other. And that is the full reinforcement group. The partial, the one button had low points and the other button only got high points 50% of the time. Then they tried to extinguish the habit. And meaning that no matter what, they just got low points for everything. They found there was a correlation between a lower reinforcement of the partial schedule and a higher reinforcement after extinguishing stage compared to the full schedule. Jeez. What are words?
I don't know.
So, in other words, what it means is that the partial schedule doesn't reinforce the habit as much as the full schedule, because the amount of times they found, the amount of times you give them a reward is a stronger habit. But the partial had a 50% higher resistance to extinction. So I guess it's the other side of the coin, if that makes sense. That's how I made sense of it.
Okay, so if I'm understanding this, partial reinforcement on a full-time schedule would contribute to the most effective extinction or creation of a habit.
Yeah, most extinction to the habit. The partial would mean that they only get it part of the time, right? So that would be like, it would, yes, you're right. It's the fixed.
Good.